Born to Achieve. Born to Achieve. Welcome to Born to Achieve podcast, the show that inspires and motivates you to unlock your full potential and achieve your goals. With your host, Warren Andrew Pinder. Let's get started on this week's episode of Born to Achieve. Born to Achieve.
I am born to achieve, and so are you. Welcome to another episode of the Born to Achieve show. Here with me again are co-hosts Mr. Delano L.D. Archer and Dr. Cheyenne Williams to speak today on the topic in the mind of a juvenile male. L.D. Yugo.
Michael. So today we want to discuss the juvenile mind. I guess in particular why some of our young men are getting into a life of crime, unfortunately. Dr. Williams here will lead our show. She's the expert here. She's developed many programs for juveniles, still is actively doing so. She works with them in the past, and she still is working with them. So no one better that we know who can give us some sound advice, knowledge about how juveniles think and why, some reasons why they may lead to a life of crime. But before we do that, let's set some boundaries. I'll just set some boundaries really quick. Andrew will. So Andrew, read a definition of what a juvenile is.
A juvenile is a child or young person who is not yet old enough to be regarded as an adult.
Okay, good. And then you may have the characteristics and qualities of a juvenile.
Qualities that characterize a juvenile, but not an adult, include physical immaturity, dependency on adults for basic needs, and a high degree of curiosity for learning and exploration.
Good. And I think the latter part of that is of good thinking to take in for us to understand. But before we even discuss this, that I'll turn the mic over to Dr. Williams. So Dr. Williams, your go.
Michael. Okay, so today we will be talking about and expanding on the mindset of the juvenile male. And in particular, we looked at this topic because of the way things are going right now in the country. We have a lot of persons pointing fingers or coming to their own conclusion about the young male making the decision to fight, to pick up a firearm, to kill someone, to armed robbery, to doing the most heinous set of crimes. And we look at the male child committing the crime, but a lot of times we do not look at why this was done. What is the overall picture looking like when we dissect what crime was committed and how we got that child to that place where they committed the crime. What we do not do is take time and assess situations. We do not have young people turning 15, turning 17, turning 16, turning 14, and just automatically woke up one day and decided to kill someone. They didn't decide at that point to get themselves into trouble. In other words, there were some signs, there were some things that was not taught, obviously. There were some rules that were not adhered to. There were some parenting styles that was not done in the home. There was some brokenness. There was just problems that led up to the point where this child committed the crime. So therefore, we have to now assess the male child and try to understand what it is that brought that child to the point where they got themselves into problems. Okay? And then we have to look at the broad C, the environment, what was taught, what was not taught. So all of this gives us the insight that we need to understand what it is, why it is, and how did that child get to the point where they are now in problems. I read something very interesting about the brain. The brain finishes developing and maturing in the mid to late 20s. The part of the brain behind the forehead called the prefrontal cortex is one of the last parts to mature. This area is responsible for skills like planning, prioritizing, and making good decisions. So, if we have young men that are not guided from they start to get into, at least finish with primary school, getting into the junior high, and then going into high school, if they're not guided, we understand that this development of the brain doesn't come to fruition until they are in their late 20s. So obviously some guidance has to be done until they are able to function on their own. And if we leave the streets to teach them, what happens? If we leave them to learn amongst themselves, what happens? So if we do not play the role in helping to develop them, in helping them to making better decisions, then we will continue to see what we're seeing, which is the most negative things happening. At the same time, we have the young men that are developing the same way, but they're moving more in a positive manner, which we do not highlight all the time because the negativity, for some reason, always outshines the positive. But we would have young men growing up in homes that they would have learned discipline, that they would have learned principles, and they would have set standards for themselves, and they accomplish good things, and they become successful. But again, it goes back to the environment, the home, who is teaching for me to listen to the type of parenting style that is going on. So if we do not get down to that part of it, then we will have problems. We will continue to see the development in the young men going downwards instead of elevating to better.
Dr. William, you said something extremely interesting in your explanation just now of what you read, right? And one of the things that really just came to mind is the fact that you used the word street. Mm-hmm. And that is seemed to have become a buzzword among most young people. Street, road, mm-hmm. right? That we going on the road, we beating this road bad, we up on this road, right? And the street now becomes a part of their upbringing, their environment, right. The street where they travel, it's no particular setting that could be positive, right? Or it could be a negative because they're all up on this road. Y'all know how things with this road ain't easy, this road today. And that's what young people are saying. Mm-hmm. There's a song, I think that Lady Saw song, right? These streets don't love you like I do. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that, I'm sure, was written when she sung that she was thinking about maybe a special male friend or something. Mm-hmm. But if we really just tell our young people that these streets don't love you like the persons that do love you, mm-hmm. meaning your parents, those that care for you.
But they would have to actually have parents or guardians loving them, showing them love, or actually caring for them in order for them to have somebody to say, these streets don't love you like I do. Because a lot of homes aren't the way we assume the homes would be. We grew up in homes that were homes. It doesn't necessarily mean that the other child or children that we see going astray grew up in the type of environment that we did. We had mothers that told us that they love us. Some parents do not have that conversation with their children. Some children, you would ask, they have never been told that they are loved by their parents.
Yeah.
And it's sad because we need to not only say, we need to show, we need to do these things as parents, because out there in the world, in the streets, they are getting shown the love, and the people out there, the negative influence, are making them feel as if they are loved by giving them things, by checking for them, giving them what their needs, and just showing up for them. Parents, guardians, if we do not do these things, the streets will do it for us.
Ellie, in short words, right? I mean, it's sad to say that, like Dr. just explained, it's sad to say that for these roads, our kids on the road, our kids up and down on the road, on the street, right? And when we speak about in the minds of the juvenile male, it's incumbent on us to really, we were once young, right? And we knew what we thought about. I mean, if you go back and you recollect where your head was it books? Was it ball? Was it the streets, right? So what are the options when we really dwell into this right now as to, in the mind of a juvenile male? What really is in his mind?
Well, I'm going to let Dr. Williams dive deeper into this.
Yeah, but it's your show, Dr. Williams.
But you saying that brings up an important point. Young people today need wholesome activity. Now, we could point the blame in many places, but it is my belief that we have fallen down socially, we have fallen down in the educational system as a government, where we are not addressing these situations at the root cause. It's a lot of conversation. And you could point at the church, you could point at the home, where it starts.
Let's be provocative. Point at them. Tell if it's the church, say it's the church. Who feeling?
But I am going to put that in a question because there was a very important point that Dr. Williams brought up about the mind developing in the late 20s. Good?
Yeah.
Now I'm going to put a question to her. Our grandfathers and our great-grandfathers, most of them never went to any college or university.
Right.
Most of them would have dropped out of school in 6th grade at the age of 15, 16. And they had to have a head on their body. And they acted and performed the tasks of a man. So how do we explain that today, where we have young people, young adults, young men, older men, still behaving like juveniles? My question to you.
Well,
before you start out, it's like, why did you ask a woman to answer that question? Let's see. Let's see.
I first start off with the fact that education doesn't make us successful. Education doesn't drive us to our purpose. It can help us get there, but it has to do with the thinking, the mindset, and the will of the individual. When you said back in the days, some grandfathers and men, they dropped out of school at primary school, junior school, and they became successful young men.
Thank you for joining today's podcast. We'll be right back.
Achieve Man, written by Warren Andrew Pinder and Dominique Bradford. This book passionately focuses on the challenges women have been made to go through and how to overcome them. In some cultures, being a woman disadvantages the girl child. This book carefully exposes the hurdles you might face. This masterpiece is the ultimate self-help guide for women. It reveals your true purpose and identity. Get your copy today. Available from Amazon.
We now return to today's podcast.
They did not rely on education to take them to purpose. They relied on making up their mind, seeing the vision, and moving towards it. That was the only way they would, at the end of the day, come out successful. In comparison with some young men today, they don't care about the success. They don't care about the education. They don't care about nothing. Because guess what? The street taught them what they know. And for the majority of them, it's me or you. You offend me, I take you out. I don't mind sitting down in jail for you. And end of story. Because guess what? I have no limited education. I don't have no vision. I don't have no time to fulfill purpose. So guess what? Any road that takes me anywhere will do. So this is how they are thinking.
That's a good.
So a sad dilemma here. And, I would think this bothers many people of our generation and generations of the past. But it's something I really can't get a grip on.
Right.
How our young people have come to the point where they will take a life and have no remorse. I mean, it's like nothing. That's just another day.
Yeah.
The streets bringing them up.
how did that mind in that young boy get to that point? Was it just influence? I mean,
It was
it has to be.
never developed. It was never developed the way it was supposed to be developed. When you decide to become parents, you have to decide to put your selfish feeling aside, and it's now time to make the time to develop this young human being. Teach them discipline. We lack discipline. That is the number one thing that is lacking within the young people. They do not have no discipline, no respect. So that's number one. So you now have to take the time to discipline, teach principles, teach morals, create standards. This is now what you have to take your time to do for this young, especially male child. If you don't do that, the child raises himself, the child teaches himself. When he goes off to school, whatever the other child does, he picks up and does, because nothing is being taught that this is right and this is wrong. So whatever is going on out there, they just go by what they see. And don't be a parent teaching me one thing and doing another thing, because that is another problem. So the child then develops on their own.
And so here's another, I guess, question for you. You know, if you throw a pilcher in the water with some piranhas, he's going to get eaten in a second. The street is one thing, but when a parent is trying their best to bring this child up, and that child has to go out there and go to school, they become an adult, they go in these workplaces where they're not killing people, but there's hostility, boy. They're respecting their, just mere courtesy ain't there no more.
Mm-hmm.
In a lot of places.
A lot of workplaces, yes.
Okay. And this is the norm of the day. So the parent has, in a lot of cases, not all, has no external support. The external support is broken down. And so now that child goes out there and they look back at the parent and they want to know, well, what mommy and daddy dealing with? Because this ain't how life is. I mean, people talking to one another any kind of way, and the respect level is very low in our society now.
Mm-hmm.
Cursing, I remember a cuss word when I was growing up, that was a bad thing to do.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Bar soap in your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Not anymore. Parents cussing their children and children cussing back at their parents.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they hear it in the workplace all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a very complex, very complicated problem. And when people talk about correcting this, like an overnight thing, I get scared because I want to know which miracle can happen for that to come to fruition.
Wow.
So I'm asking you, like, what do we do now at this point?
Wow.
Especially when we're talking about on the job. This is where, when you are growing your child up to become all that they can be, you must teach them how to be a leader. Teaching that child to lead and lead by example, you create a strong, focused young person. So you would be able to send that person, that child to grow up into an adult and work around any type of environment and not be affected by the environment. So you could have persons cursing and carrying on disrespectful, doing whatever on the job, and it would not faze you because you know what you were taught, you're disciplined, and you possess leadership skills. So therefore, you are not deterred easily. Okay? Persons on the job, this is where now management has to step in and probably bring in an organization, some kind of workshop which teaches conflict management on the job, which teaches communication skills. Because really and truly, every so often, we need to look at these businesses where business owners need to look at their business. And where they see they are failing, 9 out of 10 times you're having issues with your staff. So every now and then, inviting a grouping of people to give these professional development seminars and workshops to your staff will help your business. Only the strong persons that are disciplined, only the strong persons that know how to overcome controversy will survive in your business. everything else would be chaos. So once we instill these things in our young people, it is something that will not just go away. So you will always tell a person that has been raised with discipline and being taught to be a leader. So that's what I think will differentiate a disciplined child growing up to be an adult that is able to work in a workplace amongst chaos.
You know, one of the things with our young males today is the fact, like you said, you have that influence, that external influence, especially now, the internet and, what they see, they want. All right. So basically, they're building up in their minds. They're listening to so many persons of how they achieved what they did, or they see how people are living large and how they're enjoying this life of glamour and luxury because they're a singer, because they're an artist, a ball player, or something that may not be your purpose, and you go chasing right down the wrong road, trying to follow what you see someone living and how they're living, and not really obtaining, not understanding that you were born with a purpose and never really developed that.
Right.
And
right.
To tie this into the sad thing is that all of this is happening while the child's mind is being developed, like you just said. So you're saying the mind is not developed until 20 fully. But you could imagine what they would have seen. Like, I mean, a 9-year-old, what they're actually exposed to on the internet. You know what I mean? Much less a 19-year-old.
That's why it is important for us to continue to speak life into these young men. Do not give up on them because of one or two mistakes. We have to continue to speak life into them. I often say to my boys, at the end of the day, you want a nice car. Yes, ma'am. We want a nice home. Yes, ma'am. Okay, so check this out. If you go on a job and it's making you $600 a week, and your boss tells you black shoes, black belt, white shirt, black pants, what are you going to do? Dr. Williams, I'm going to wear my black shoes, my black belt, Okay, awesome. Because guess what? If you wake up the next morning to go to work and you decide, I feel like wearing brown belt today with some tan shoes and whatever, what happens? We get fired. Okay, so guess what? Doesn't it make sense to go by the rules so that at the end of the week, you collect your $600? Because when you lose that job, what's going to happen with your apartment? You get put out, we get put out. Okay, what's going to happen to your girlfriend? She can leave you. What's going to happen when the bank, you miss the bank payment on your car? We got to catch bus again. I said, does that make sense? Especially for the boys in school. I said, as simple as listening to what the rules are and doing as they say. It helps you a long way, because when you get on the next man's job, you will have rules that you will have to go by. And this is also a part of discipline. So let school be your training grounds. And then when you get to work, it will not be hard to adhere to rules. But we have the boys doing the most. And the sad thing is, they're leaving from home not wearing what the school says to wear. So how is it that you're a parent raising a child to be obedient, to listen to school rules, but they're leaving out your house in something that they know they should not? Where does the problem come in? So it all points right back to the parents have to continue to make their children accountable. You don't do this, this is going to be your consequences. You get to spend it, you're going to have to XYZ, whatever it is, but you have to make them responsible and accountable.
But it sounded to me like what you're saying, right? It's that we got to come down hard on some parents for a lot of what, real talk.
Well, yeah, I mean, parents have, like I said, most parents are ill-equipped for the raising of a child, and I don't know which parent is equipped. I mean, it's a very, I guess, iffy game, but you have to have a goal, and have to have some boundaries, and you have to have a strategy.
It's a foundation.
That's right.
for your supposed success of your child. However, and I don't want to go back here, but this is a pet peeve of mine.
Mm-hmm.
I am still stuck on this activity business because I can only compare with what I know.
Mm-hmm.
And so the young child today, he's on the internet. They love video games. 90% of them are violent as hell.
Mm-hmm.
They worse than the movies.
GTA.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
When I was growing up, and I grew up in some of my formative years for 3 or 4 years in Exuma, I could remember marbles was you had to learn how to shoot marbles.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You had to spin top. You had to take that, they'll pin out it, put a big nail in it,
Mm-hmm.
cut that, sharpen that, and you have to try split the next man top.
Mm-hmm. That was Government Road.
That was an activity.
Like
You had to build your own scooter out of wood and trolley wheels.
Mm-hmm. But you know right now, stick a pin right there.
Yeah.
You know right now, right? The young man listening to you right now said, you crazy?
trying to figure out what this man talking about.
And that is my point.
Mm-hmm.
Because today, you go to the shop, you go on Amazon, you order everything.
Mm-hmm.
The innovative nature of that child. And remember what it says about a juvenile.
Mm-hmm.
A juvenile is curious
Yes.
in learning
Yes.
and exploration.
Right.
Yes.
And if you don't fulfill that need, somehow they will find a way to fulfill it.
That's the answer. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're fulfilling it with violence.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? That's the exploration they into now.
Yeah.
And again, we can point fingers everywhere, but I mean, how many programs do we have for these young people to go out there and be innovative in, other than taking advice?
Or programs that are teaching young children to be innovative.
Yeah, young children are tired of people preaching at them. They get preaching at home.
Mm-hmm.
They get preaching in church.
Yeah.
They get preaching in school. They get preaching from people on the street telling them what to do.
Yeah.
You have to give them some wholesome activity, because if you don't, their mind will be satisfied somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just my belief.
How to take down a pistol.
Right.
How to pull it back together.
But I think that would be intervention though. In the right format, right? In the right format, teaching them how to take down the pistol.
Lord have
back
mercy.
together and show them how dangerous it is.
Now for a commercial break.
Achieve Men, written by Warren Andrew Pinder. In this book, you will learn the 7 steps to achieving your dreams and goals. Given the vision to share how the acronym of the word achieve can be used systematically in your day-to-day life. Each of us is given a unique gift from God. Get your copy today. Available in print, ebook, and audiobook from Amazon.
We now return to today's podcast.
Maybe an intervention. That this ain't a toy to play with. Be responsible with it.
I won't disagree with that per se, but there are a lot of other activities that don't present that type of danger.
Yeah.
And so, again, we have lost our innovation. We have lost these basic things that we used to do.
Mm-hmm.
The monster here is technology. And I love technology.
Yes.
That's the monster.
Yeah.
Believe it or not. The monster, the white elephant in the room is technology. And that's causing a lot of our young people to be inactive. Now, there are a lot of things with technology you can explore, I mean, if you get into the world of IoT, the Internet of Things, you can create and build all kinds of systems with software.
Mm-hmm.
And graphics.
One of the good things that they started in the school was coding. Coding is just simple programming. Right? It starts to get into that curiosity of the mind, giving them something to do and develop. Okay? So, but we just can't only do coding. I mean, we have to be very innovative. We have to give them much more to choose from, because everybody ain't going to want to do the same thing.
No. And it's a lot. So we need to now find persons who are able to teach them about the internet and creating softwares and programs and these things, they look back on these websites and they see how people become millionaires by creating these things, and they find it impossible or think that it's impossible for them to become rich of doing these things. But it is possible. Now, who do we have to teach these things?
Let me tell you a story, right, of a young man I met. And as I say, his name is Charles, right? And if he listen to me, he can laugh. But if you see him, he just to tell him, man, to kill. Go get from around me, or don't. Because he's a nuisance. But not till one day I really got a chance to talk to him, trying to dwell into why he's acting the way he's acting and so forth. He pulled out his phone and said, I'm working on a website. I said, you working on a website? I mean, are you looking at him like he really, this brother drunk, and I'm like, you really, I don't have no one telling me you're working on a website. Mm-hmm. But he said, man, if you invest with me, we could flip this website for $50,000. And I'm really looking at this point now, he in my head, thinking out of the box. This was some real dumb thing coming to me with. As he started to get into LD, Dr. Wills, he started to scroll through. He told me he dealing with someone in China who helping him build the website. And it's a travel website. Mm. So he creating destinations for places in China to buy flights to the Bahamas. Right. And I said, this real? Right?
Right.
He showed me it live.
Right.
The website was live. Tell me, it cost him like $500 and something to get it to the point where it is, and he's trying to see if he can finish it.
Awesome.
If he get another $500,
awesome.
By the time he get this and people start booking on it, he could turn around and sell it.
Yes, yeah, he can.
So I'm saying technology, we always talk about the negative and positive. And that's how you say the white elephant in the room.
Right.
Could be negative or it could be positive. And it goes right back to what you said today about the mind.
Right.
Right? Understanding that your maturity level is what you want. When you go back to the analogy you gave earlier of our grandparents.
Right.
Right? I would say that the issue was them becoming responsible.
Right.
Earlier, because at 14, 15, but they had to take care of their mom or their pop. You see what I'm saying? But today,
carefree.
They don't want to take them, taking care of them, but father till they 40, 50, they much less their children.
Yeah.
So that's a big coming full cycle on what we spoke about today. What's in the mind of juvenile, in the mind of a juvenile male. Mm-hmm. They don't have the responsibility of taking that to the next level of going to the 20th floor of their mind.
And
as you would always say.
It's hurting them. It's hurting them because I always see men as leaders.
Yeah.
So how is it that they are going to be in a position to lead when they do not know where they're going?
Wow.
So this is scary.
Wow.
That's why we result in homes with men in it, but they're not leaders.
Wow. Ellie, you take it. You get summation. Give us your or give parents or the young men that the parents say, okay, y'all need to listen to this. What you would tell them?
Well, that can be approached from a lot of angles, but there's one thing that we as humans don't do well, and this is not only Bahamian, this is a global thing. Communication is key, boy. And we don't do well with that. I mean, I struggle with it with my children. I don't communicate with them as I should. But you have to dig deep and find a way to communicate with that child. It can't just be telling them what to do.
No.
Because I always say, these children today, information they have in their head, you never had that amount of information in your head at their age.
Right.
All different language, but
okay. And the only way you're going to get them to listen to your guidance and advice is to be able to communicate and know how they are thinking.
Yeah.
Because they'll shut you down.
Yeah.
And people easily they shut you down when they go quiet. If someone ain't responding to you and you doing all the talking,
lights out.
Lights out.
Right.
And that's with everything in life. In a relationship,
yes.
If you're giving a presentation, anything, there ain't no one saying nothing.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, watch out.
Exactly.
Okay.
What you say? What you?
As it relates to
Your last words on
As it relates to the young men, you have to want more for yourself. As good of a role model, as good of a parent some of us may be, at the end of the day, it's all about what that young man wants for himself. Everybody goes through some struggle. Everybody goes through some problems of the past. But we need to know, or we need to let our young men know, that that does not define what you can become in the future. Keep a positive mindset, even if you are in an environment or a home, whereas you know, common sense tell you that this is not right, and you know right from wrong. Choose to do right. Men are born leaders, and we need to appreciate them, make them feel appreciated, even at a young age. Boost their confidence, so that at the end of the day, that is what drives them to do better, to become better, to take on the leadership role in being positive and not leaning towards the negative things in life.
right? I know if I could follow you, I think that right there is powerful.
Yes.
But I have an example. At age 14, my experience taught me that I was going to never follow, because I was following the leader. And the leader took me down the hole. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The leader, you happen to be the leader, took me down the hole. I following the leader. But from then, I have always said to myself, and trust me, Dr. Will, you couldn't put it more eloquent. Right? That a young men, we are leaders. We all have been born with a purpose. Mm-hmm. Again, we are here. Dello and myself, we're wearing these t-shirts that says, you are born to achieve greatness. Right? It's up to you to find it. It's up to find what it is. Your purpose is that you were born. Go after it, try and achieve it. And we are going to hammer this until we believe that with this show, the three of us, the synergy that has been brought here, that we can bring other people to here. We are blessed to be here tonight at the Sting Cigar Lounge, the farm restaurant, and it's our intent to invite the public to come and join us in this dialogue and have a segment where we can pass the mic and let them ask questions. We're going to go live on Facebook. We're going to take this and big this to the point where we know that men are leaders, that they are born to achieve, that they are born with a purpose, and our job is to help them. To find their purpose. All right, the time that we are given because we care about you. Parents, we want to help you. We want you to have that honest dialogue with your child, that they don't go silent like LD said. We want you to be, in a position to understand what it is to help that child himself. To find the purpose that he has, not to follow someone else's dream, but to be a leader and find their own dream. So, we look forward. This episode still on the high of, the 100th episode last week. So this is 101, and we look forward to 200. By the time we can drive the message and get everyone to understand that we are serious about pushing the message that we are all born to achieve. And you've been listening to the Born to Achieve podcast. We thank you for listening. Look forward to the next episode.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Born to Achieve. Born to Achieve. We hope you found it informative, inspiring, and motivating. Born to Achieve. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with your friends and family. Stay focused on your goals, and we'll see you on the next episode of Born to Achieve. Born to Achieve. Born to Achieve.